Her guns, they prick my skin! You need to stop!
No! My crops! They're withering away! Why?
No, not this! My beauty, it's fading! Help me!
Imagine this, my friends, in a forgotten village deep in the heart of Yoruba land, where the palm trees whisper secrets to the wind and the spirits of the ancestors roam under the moonlight. There lived a girl whose hair held the power of the gods themselves. But one fateful night, driven by jealousy and greed, they dared to cut it off. Oh, what a grave mistake, for in that single act, they unleashed a storm that would shake the foundations of their world. Gather close, children of the night, for this is the tale of the poor girl with magic hair and the big mistake that followed. If you think you've heard shocking stories before, wait until you hear what happened next. Subscribe now and hit that bell so you don't miss the twist that will leave you breathless. Once upon a time, in the bustling village of Ojaile, nestled between the rolling hills of southwestern Nigeria, life moved to the rhythm of the marketplace and the beat of the talking drums. The sun rose each day like a golden king, blessing the yam farms and the thatched-roofed huts with its warm embrace. But in this village, where everyone knew everyone's secrets, there was one girl who stood apart, not because of wealth or beauty in the usual sense, but because of a gift that shimmered like stars in the night sky. Her name was Aduni, a name that meant sweet to have in Yoruba. But sweet, to the villagers she was anything but. Aduni was poor, orphaned young when her parents fell to a mysterious fever that swept through the land like a thief in the night. She lived in a tiny shack on the edge of the village, surviving on scraps from the market and the kindness of strangers, or what little kindness there was. Her clothes were rags, patched together like a beggar's quilt, and her feet were calloused from walking barefoot on the dusty paths. But her hair, that was the wonder of Ojaile. Oduni's hair was a cascade of midnight black braids that fell to her ankles, thick and lustrous, glowing faintly in the moonlight as if woven from the threads of the gods. It wasn't ordinary hair. No, my listeners, this was magic hair, a gift from the Orishas themselves. Legend whispered that when Aduni was born, during a fierce thunderstorm, the goddess Oya herself had blessed her with this mane. It brought luck to those who touched it kindly, but woe to anyone who harmed it. You see, Oduni's hair had powers. When she combed it under the full moon, the strands would shimmer, and the next day, her tiny garden would bloom with yams as big as a man's head. If she braided a lock and gave it to a sick child, the fever would break by dawn. The villagers knew this, but instead of honoring her, they whispered behind her back. That girl is a witch, they'd say. Her hair is juju, black magic from the forest spirits. Jealousy festered like a boil in the heat, especially among the wealthy families who had everything but her gift. Chief Akintola, the village elder, was the worst of them. A fat man with a belly like a swollen god, he ruled Ojaile with an iron fist wrapped in silk. His compound was the grandest, with mud walls painted white and a courtyard filled with goats, chickens, and servants. He had 3 wives. The first, Mama Yemi, sharp-tongued and envious. The second, Auntie Bose, lazy and gossip-loving. And the third, Iyawo, young and beautiful but cruel-hearted. Chief Akintola's daughters, Titi and Lola, were spoilt rotten, dressed in fine Adire cloths and adorned with beads that clinked like laughter. One day, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Aduni wandered into the marketplace. Her hair swayed like a living cloak behind her, catching the light. She carried a small basket of herbs she'd gathered from the forest. Nothing fancy, just enough to trade for a handful of gari. But as she passed Chief Akintola's store, where his daughters sold pounded yam and egusi soup, Titi sneered.
Look at her, Titi whispered to Lola, loud enough for Aduni to hear. Walking around with that rat nest on her head, thinking she's special. If I had hair like that, I'll be the queen of the village. Why does she even have it? She's poor. What good is magic hair to a beggar? We should cut it off and sell it to the traders from the north. Imagine the gold we'd get. Lola giggled, her beads rattling.
Aduni heard every word, but she kept her head down, her heart heavy like a stone in the river. She wasn't one to fight back. The Orishas had taught her patience in her dreams. But that night, as she sat by her flickering lantern, combing her hair with a wooden comb carved by her late father, she felt a tear slide down her cheek. "Why do they hate me so?" she whispered to the stars. "All I want is peace." Little did she know, the whispers of jealousy were turning into a plan. Back in Chief Akintola's compound, under the cover of darkness, the family gathered around a fire. Mama Yemi, the eldest wife, stirred a pot of stew, her eyes gleaming with malice. "That girl's hair is a curse on us all," she said. "While she has it, our crops wither and our luck turns sour. Remember last harvest, our yams were small, but hers were giants." Chief Akintola nodded, stroking his beard. "You are right. The gods favor her unfairly. If we take the hair, we take the power. We'll be the richest in Ojaile." Iyawo, the youngest wife, clapped her hands. "And think of the beauty. I could weave it into my own braids and become irresistible. No man would look away." Titi and Lola exchanged excited glances. "We'll do it tomorrow night," Titi said, "when she's asleep in her shack. Sneak in, cut it off, quick and quiet." Sealed with a shared cup of palm wine. But oh, my dear listeners, if only they knew the ancient proverb. He who digs a pit for another may fall into it himself. For Aduni's hair wasn't just magic. It was a guardian bound by the spirits. To cut it without permission was to invite the wrath of Oya, the storm goddess, who protected the innocent with winds that could uproot trees and floods that could swallow villages. The next day dawned bright and innocent, but tension hung in the air like smoke from a bushfire. Aduni went about her routine, helping an old widow named Mama Aduke with her chores. In return, Mama Aduke shared a bowl of fufu and okra soup. "Child," the old woman said, her voice crackly like dry leaves, "your hair is a blessing from the gods. Guard it well. Envy is a snake that bites without warning." Adoni smiled faintly. "I know, Mama, but what can a poor girl do against the powerful?" As night fell, the village quieted. The moon rose full and silver, casting shadows that danced like spirits. Aduni lay in her shack, her hair spread out like a fan around her, glowing softly. She drifted into sleep, dreaming of a time when she wasn't alone. Meanwhile, Titi and Lola crept through the darkness, scissors in hand, sharp blades stolen from the blacksmith. They giggled nervously, hearts pounding with excitement and fear. "Shh," Lola whispered. "If she wakes, we'll say it was a dream." They slipped into the shack, the door creaking like a warning. Aduni stirred but didn't wake. Titi grabbed a thick braid, her hands trembling. "One cut," she murmured. "Snip!" The scissors sliced through, and a lock fell to the ground. But as it hit the dirt, a strange wind whistled through the cracks in the walls. Lola's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" "Keep going," Titi urged. Snip, snip, snip. Braid after braid tumbled down until Aduni's head was shorn, leaving only short, uneven stubs. The girls gathered the hair into a sack, their faces flushed with triumph. "We did it," Lola whispered. They fled into the night, the wind howling like a beast awakened. Back in the compound, the family celebrated. Chief Akintola divided the hair, some for selling to traders, some for his wives to weave into charms. "Tomorrow we'll be rich," he boomed. Mama Yemi braided a strand into her own hair, feeling a surge of power. The gods smile on us now. But as the moon climbed higher, something stirred in the village.
Aduni awoke with a start, her hands flying to her head. "No!" she cried, feeling the emptiness. Tears streamed down her face as she realized what had happened. "Oh, Oya, why?" She collapsed in grief, but deep inside, she felt a spark. The magic wasn't gone, it was angry. The first sign came at dawn. A storm cloud gathered out of nowhere, dark and swirling like a vengeful spirit. Thunder rumbled, shaking the huts. The villagers peered out, confused. It wasn't rainy season. Chief Akintola laughed it off. Just a passing cloud. Sell the hair today.
But as Titi and Lola headed to the market with the sack, the wind picked up, whipping dust into their eyes. Suddenly, the sack burst open, and the hair scattered like snakes slithering across the ground. "Catch it!" Titi screamed. But the strands twisted and turned, evading their grasp, glowing with an eerie light. One lock wrapped around Lola's ankle, tripping her into the mud. Another flew into Mama Yumi's braid, pulling tight like a noose. She gasped, clawing at her throat. "It's alive!" she choked. Panic spread through the compound. Chief Akintola rushed out, but the ground trembled beneath him. Cracks appeared in the earth, swallowing his prized goods. "What sorcery is this?" he bellowed. Aduni, hearing the chaos, stepped out of her shack. Her shorn head made her look frail, but her eyes burned with quiet fire. "You cut my hair," she said softly, her voice carrying on the wind. "Big mistake." The villagers gathered, pointing and whispering. "She cursed us," someone yelled. But Aduni shook her head. "No, the magic protects itself. You took what wasn't yours, driven by envy. Now face the consequences." As she spoke, the storm broke. Rain poured like arrows from the sky, flooding the streets. Lightning cracked, striking Chief Akintola's roof and setting it ablaze. His wife screamed as their charms backfired. Mama Yemi's braid turned to thorns, pricking her skin. Auntie Bose's lock withered her crops overnight. Iyawo's strand made her beauty fade, her skin wrinkling like old leather. Titi and Lola, the cutters, suffered worst. Their hands blistered where they'd held the scissors, swelling like balloons. "Make it stop!" Titi wailed. The village elder, wise old Baba Ogun, stepped forward through the rain. "Fools!" he thundered. "You violated the gift of Oya. Aduni's hair was a blessing for all, but you turned it to purse through greed. Remember the proverb, envy is the poison that kills the envious." As he spoke, Chief Akintola fell to his knees in the mud, begging Aduni, "Forgive us, we'll make it right." Aduni, her heart soft despite the pain, nodded. The magic demands balance. Return what you took and show true kindness. The family scrambled, gathering the scattered hair strands from the storm-swept ground. They wove them back onto Aduni's head with trembling hands, using ancient chants whispered by Baba Ogu. As the last braid was tied, the storm cleared, the sun breaking through like forgiveness. But the lesson lingered. Chief Akintola's compound was humbled, his wealth diminished, his pride broken. He gave Aduni a plot of land and a share of his harvest, vowing to protect her. The villagers learnt, "Judge not the poor by their appearance, for hidden blessings can turn to curses when mistreated." And Aduni, her hair grew back stronger, glowing brighter. She became the village healer, her gift shared freely. But she never forgot the night they cut it off, the big mistake that taught Ojaile the power of humility. Oh, my friends, what a tale! The poor girl with magic hair triumphed, and the envious learnt their lesson the hard way. Remember, kindness weaves stronger threads than jealousy ever can. If this story shocked you, like, comment your favorite twist below, and subscribe to Evelyn Midnight Tales for more African folk tales that will keep you up at night. Share this with a friend who needs a moral boost. And don't forget,
Every view supports my mom Evelyn's fight against breast cancer. Until next time, may your hair stay magical and your heart pure. Good night.